Hello everyone, my name is Carlos Atencia Avilés, and today I'm going to present my research. The title is Playing to Learn: Impact of Gamified Activities on Motivation and Vocabulary Development in 8th grade EFL students. Well, this student was developed at Seminario Menor de Medellín. It explores how integrating technology and gamification can help English learners at the A1 and A2 level improve both their motivation and their vocabulary learning. Through my presentation, I will guide you through the context, the problem, the theoretical foundations, the methodology, findings, and the implication of this research. Uh, let's start with the research context and the background. To begin, it's important to understand the educational context in which this study was conducted. The project took place at public school in Medellin with a group of 16 students, 8th grade students, whose English level would range from A1 to A2 according to the CEFR, as in many Colombian schools. These students face several challenges as well. They have limited exposure to English outside the classroom. The English is often taught using traditional teacher-centered methods. Vocabulary learning is also usually based on memorization rather than meaningful practice. And well, that many students feel anxious or bored during English classes. Additionally, although the school has some access to digital tools, technology is not consistently integrated into the English curriculum, which limits students' opportunities for interactive and dynamic learning. At the same time, today's teenagers are constantly interacting with digital platforms, games, and multimedia content, and this contrast between their digital lives and traditional classroom methods. This raised the question that what would happen if we introduce game-like digital tools into their English classes? Well, this idea inspired the research. I'm going to tell you the statement of the problem. Well, the central problem addressed in this study is that the students show low motivation and struggle to retain vocabulary when English is taught through traditional methods. Several issues were identified in this. First of all, the lack of motivation. I noticed that students often feel disengaged during English lessons, and it's not the same. Limited vocabulary retention. Students often forget new vocabulary shortly after learning it because, well, they don't use it and they don't think that it's useful or they are afraid of using it. I also noticed the a minimal participation because only a few students usually volunteer in class and on the activities. The underuse of technology, although digital tools are available, they are rarely used for EFL purposes. These challenges reduce the effectiveness of English learning and make it difficult for some students to advance beyond basic levels. This brings my research question. To address this problem, I formulated the following guiding question: how does the integration of technology and gamification affects the motivation and vocabulary learning outcomes for 8th grade EFL students? This question led to the design of a mixed methods study that evaluates not only what students learn, but also how they feel during the learning process. The objectives of my research, well, the general objective is to analyze the impact of technology based gamification, the motivation, and vocabulary learning of 8th grade EFL students. And the specific objective, they are to identify students' attitudes towards gamified learning activities, to assess changes in motivation and participation during the intervention, to evaluate improvements in vocabulary learning through pre and post test, and to propose recommendation for EFL teachers seeking to implement gamification. These objectives help, help structure every phase of the study, from the diagnosis stage to the analysis of the results. The theoretical framework. My theoretical framework brings together four influential perspectives that helps explain why gamification can be effective in EFL learning. The first one is the self-determination theory from Deshi and Ryan, 2000. And this theory focuses on three psychological needs. The first one is the autonomy. The students want to feel that they have choices, the competence that they want to be successful, and the relatedness. They want to feel connected to their peers. Gamification supports these needs naturally. Students choose answer strategies and pace of participation. The points, badges, and correct answers reinforce competences, and the leaderboards and group games strengthen the readiness. When these needs are met, students' motivation increases, not only extrinsically through rewards, but also intrinsically because they enjoy the activity. Second, the sociocultural constructivism from Vygotsky. And according to Vygotsky, learning is a social process. In gamified activities, students often collaborate, compare answers, discuss strategies, and help each other. This interaction becomes a form of scaffolding that supports vocabulary learning. In my classroom observations, I saw the students who readily spoke naturally, engaging with peers during gamified tasks, something that almost never happens during traditional lessons. The third one is the affective filter hypothesis from Krashen. This study says that emotions play a crucial role in language acquisitions. When students feel anxious, bored, or frustrated, the affective filter goes up, and learning becomes harder. Gamification lowers this filter by creating a playful environment, reducing fear of being wrong, and rewarding effort and participation. Instead of feeling judged, students feel encouraged, and this improves vocabulary retention. For one, gamification framework, the turning ET all. Gamification uses elements such as point, badges, leaderboards, timers, and immediate feedback. These elements transform a normal activity into a motivating challenge. This framework guided my selection of digital tools, ensuring that each activity included mechanics that support learning and motivation. And the methodology. I'm going to talk about the methodology applied for this research. This study employed a mixed method approach, specifically a descriptive and exploratory design with a quasi experimental structure. This one the participants were 16 8th grade students from A1 to A2 level. They had mixed academic profiles and they were with voluntary participation. The data collection instruments. I got four data collection instruments. The first one was a vocabulary pre-test and post-test, measuring vocabulary improvement. The second one was the motivation survey. This one was applied before and after the intervention. Third one was the classroom observation, which I documented changes in behavior, participation, engagement. And the last one, it is the semi-structured interviews. I provided deeper insights into student experience. The phases of the study. The first phase was the diagnostic phase, which where I identify baseline levels of motivation and vocabulary. Second one was the intervention phase, where I introduced gamified activities using Kahoot, quizzes, EducaPlay, and Class Dojo. Third one was the observation phase. I recorded a student's reaction, collaboration, and participation. And the fourth one is the evaluation phase, which where I conducted post tests and I did the interviews. I'm going to talk about the ethical considerations. We had confidentiality and anonymity. We had respect for the participants' rights, and we secure the data storage. Well, I'm going to talk about now the data analysis process. I had two different analysis processes: qualitative and quantitative. Qualitative, following Flick 2018, I use open coding, identifying current ideas, axial coding, grouping these into themes, and selective coding, refining main categories. Themes included motivation, collaboration, enjoyment, and vocabulary retention. And the qualitative analysis. I compared the pre-test and the post-test to note the changes from these. And I also made the motivation survey results. This combination provided a comprehensive understanding of both cognitive and emotional changes. And I'm going to talk about the key findings. The results are organized into three major thematic categories. The thing one was that I was able to see increased motivation and engagement. Students consistently reported that the activities were fun, dynamic, and motivating. Many of my students said that they feel excited to participate. Uh, Other students want to repeat the games or select new games to, try to win. And during observation of the classroom, the classroom atmosphere became noticeably more energetic. For example, one of my students said like he liked learning English because we played a lot, and even the students who usually remain silent show enthusiasm. The theme too was that we saw that we enhanced participation and collaboration using the gamification. Now, gamification encouraged cooperative learning. I was able to see that a lot of students helped each other during the quizzes. They formed the groups like spontaneously when we were about to make the activities, and it was we noticed a lot of peer interaction. I remember that one of my students said that they had to like help each other. They had to, he had to help the other classmate because they wanted to win. It was a team, and even these changes learnings began to take in leadership roles. The theme three, I was able to see improvement in vocabulary acquisition. The vocabulary possessed results demonstrate clear improvement. Most students improved by 2 or 4 points, even more. They remember the words more quickly, and they felt more confident using new vocabulary in class. I noticed that one student said that he remembered the words that he was about to use because they say it a lot during my classes, and that they appear many times in the games. This reinforces the idea that repetition and gamification is stronger the vocabulary learning. So these findings connect strongly with the theoretical foundations. The SDT, Desi, and Ryan shows that students actually felt competent and motivated. Vygotsky, I was able to see that the study by Vygotsky. It was also shown in my class because collaboration flourished. Recreation said that anxiety decreased and learning improved, and the engagement and performance increased consistent with Hamari et al. This study contributes locally relevant evidence showing that gamification benefits A1 and A2 learners in Colombian public schools. And yeah, the conclusion. In conclusion, gamification created a more positive, engaging learning environment, showed that the student participated more actively and confidently. The vocabulary learning improved in measurable ways. And the technology based gamification is a practical, effective strategy for EFL teaching at the beginner level. And well, I want to talk about the implication, the limitation, and the future research. The implication, gamified tools can transform the EFL learning. Teachers can adopt simple, accessible platforms to boost engagement. And schools should integrate technology more consistently in their English curriculum. Some limitations are, from these studies, the small sample size. It was just 16 students for 8th grade. It was a really short intervention period. It was about like 2 months. And there were differences in students' access to technology. Not all the students had the access, a phone or something like that they could use in school. But yeah, those were the limitations. For future research, I expect well, bigger amount of students to explore the impact on speaking and writing, the comparison across rural versus urban contexts, and investigating teacher training in gamification. So yeah, that would be all. Thank you very much for your attention. And this research shows that gamification is not only enjoyable for students, it is a powerful pedagogical tool that improves motivation, participation, and vocabulary learning. Yeah, so it would be all. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.